on the inside, just moves slightly and it just sends the rider next to him into the tapes. Seen that so many times, haven't we? But no, I don't know what it is with Poland though. I mean, whether it's because they have to team ride in this, and whether as riders on the track together, they just can't seem to work it out. The World Cup, of course, it's although it's a team event, they're all the trackers individuals, so they seem to.
Which I've always thought was wrong, but yeah. Anthony Bailey says rider of the week, easiest ever, Sir Robert Lambert.
Yeah, Lambert was superb, wasn't he?
He
really
was.
did perform very, very well on.
But
on
that pass that Bewley made in the final when he came underneath them was
it was a great final,
spectacular.
Wasn't it? And, a lot's been. I've seen a few comments from people saying, well, morally Australia were the winners because they scored more points. Well, 2 years ago in Voynes, we scored more points than Australia, but Australia won it. I don't remember the Australian. Well, when do Australia ever have any sympathy for a British loser?
No.
Never. So it swings and roundabouts at the end of the day. I think themselves and Australia were the best two sides. Sweden were great. Germany obviously made a really good start, didn't they? I mean, they did. Yes. I mean, we did say last week that we thought they might be a bit of a spoiler.
I think they spoiled Poland a bit.
They did a little bit. Yeah, I think in the end they just sort of ran out of steam a little bit, didn't they, Germany? Yeah. But it was as I said before, I mean, they are an emerging nation. They've got two excellent riders in Norrit Bladorn and Kai Hülkenberg, who's done really well in the Grand Prix this year.
Right, so we've got a few comments coming up about the Speedway Nations. We need to go a little bit further up for us, please, Chris. Not that far up. Pete Clark says you could see a lot of empty seats at Bellevue. I thought it was a fairly decent crowd. I mean, I know there's been lots of talk about the price of the tickets being incredibly expensive, and perhaps that's something they need to look at.
The temporary stand was I think it was about, if it was a third full, I would have been surprised, and a lot of money would have been put into getting that stand in place, I would have thought.
Simon Corbett says Speedway of Nations, apart from the final, was poor. Wet and no crowd even for the final. Question why didn't Frick or Dudek ride?
Presumably team selection, wasn't it? Was the reason?
Well, I suppose from Australia's point of view, Frick didn't need to ride.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they top scored, didn't they?
Yeah.
So there is that. Dudek, I can't answer.
I was a little bit surprised by that one, to be honest. Interestingly, you talk about the crowd there. In some ways, I think that sort of will send a message really to the organisers about the pricing of the tickets in future. Because if they couldn't completely fill the place, then that probably says a lot. A lot of the meetings, certainly the two semi-finals, there were a lot of those nations that were just a little bit out of their depth because they haven't, the nations like France and Finland just haven't got the depth in quality to get themselves anywhere near some of the top nations in the world.
No. Elliot Hunt says, evening, I was at the whole week of Speedway of Nations, which was a great week of racing in tricky weather conditions. Credit to the track staff for getting the meetings on. And you've disappeared, Elliot. There you go. Enjoyed seeing a wide range of top riders and countries taking part. Glad GB won on the Saturday. Well-deserved result. Not much national recognition seen as yet.
Very little.
Yeah.
Very little.
That's
zero.
Disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It didn't help, obviously, that there was, as you say, there was another event taking place over the weekend, which perhaps the less said about that one, the better.
Probably. Phil Tyler, Rider of the Week, William Carnes, 19-point haul for Scunthorpe versus Sheffield in the NDL. I mean,
and I believe today has signed a 2-year deal with Bellevue.
With Bellevue,
so I know there's been quite a few clubs that have been sort of, watching his progress over the last couple of years.
I mean, 16, isn't he? I believe just turned 16. Yeah. Have I got that right?
That's right.
Wow. I mean, that's not a bad debut, is it? 19 points.
Well, he rode in the test meeting. I think Lawrence Rodgers was involved over in the States a couple of years ago, and he rode a few demonstrations in that one. And I know he was riding on his own, but he looked very, very impressive and very, very quick, even then on what was obviously a very, very small track, which is obviously typical for America, really.
It's very, very busy tonight. I'm struggling to keep up.
That's okay. Elliot Hunt's been very, very, very busy this week. He was at Workington on Sunday for the Ben Fund Bonanza, helping out with the 50-50 sales. Great crowd. Dan Bewley was on fire, broke the track record and secured a maximum to win the meeting. good to see lots of different nationalities, top riders and competitive racing. He's had a good weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah.
World champion and for the second time, of course.
Yep, absolutely,
yep. Simon Corwick, special mention to Latvia.
Why? What happened with Latvia?
They were just showed up really well, didn't
Yeah.
they? I mean,
Okay.
Obviously, they beat the Czechs in the semi-final, and were more than involved in the final, weren't
Yeah.
they? They sort of they were never going to win it. Let's be, we got to be realistic about that.
yeah.
But
I mean, let's be honest. There were a few riders out there that the promoters are looking for riders. They wouldn't pique interest if they're interested in riding over in this country, of course.
yeah, absolutely.
That would be no way me talking to Lawrence Rogers there. Jeff Daniels, the temporary stand had to be built. Discovery insisted on it, and Bellevue had to pay for it a six-figure sum. If they want future GPs, the head of FIM was there to view it all.
Wow.
Okay, I have no idea of the
Six-figure sum.
truthfulness of that statement.
It's a lot of money for something that was barely a third full, as I say.
Yeah,
I know Bellevue.
I have no reason to doubt it. By the way,
I know that the Bellevue are pushing to try and get a GP there. I think that's probably one of the worst kept secrets in the world. But whether that will happen, whether you would have that alongside Cardiff or as an alternative to Cardiff, because I believe the Cardiff deal expires. If it doesn't expire this year, it expires next year.
Really?
So maybe
Okay.
there's some.
What will happen then? What do you think?
Well, they're not.
hopefully they get a new lease for it and keep going, because Cardiff's a great.
I think so.
venue.
Yeah. I mean, I know Cardiff has a lot of its detractors, and I suppose in terms of the quality of racing, Bellevue would be a better option. But the problem is, of course, Bellevue is nowhere near as big as the stadium.
And also doesn't have a roof.
Doesn't have a roof. You've got that extra insurance. And Cardiff, as I've said many times, Cardiff is perfect. The venue is because of where it is. You've got all the, all the restaurants and the pubs that are. You go into Cardiff into the stadium, and it's literally right in the heart of the city. Whereas Bellevue is sort of it's
in
not,
Manchester.
it's in Manchester, but it's in a quiet part of Manchester. It's not near any. There's not really any hotels or restaurants or anything near it. So I just think the Cardiff. And let's be fair, and to be brutally honest, Cardiff was vastly improved last year. It was probably the best GP of last season. I think they did a lot of work to get the track after the disaster of 2022. So I think as long as there's a decent demand, I mean, the Cardiff crowd has probably dropped in recent years. Maybe for a lot of people, the novelty has worn off a little bit.
Also, they did have that really bad year a couple of years back. Where less said about that, the better. Duncan, but we was talking about how much it cost. Duncan Pemberton says, I think there was two reasons for a poor crowd. One was my daughter paid £430 for 2 tickets in the grandstand for all 4 meets. That's an average of £53 a ticket. Was the semis worth that money? Possibly.
I'm not convinced, really.
Yeah, possibly View was...
It's difficult, really, as we said last week, because in the 2 semi-finals there was no real home interest, was there? Because obviously the GB side wasn't featured in. Same with the World Cup last season. The meetings that didn't involve Poland, the crowd was very, very poor.
Yeah,
you wouldn't pay that for an FA Cup final.
No.
Yeah, it's not great. And 2, I think a lot thought it would be on Eurosport, which backfired. Carnes is 15, not 16. Thank you, Pete.
15.
Oh, yeah, right.
Fred Graham, what's your thoughts on pricing? Surely they got it wrong. Bring the price down. Better to have a full stadium and an atmosphere than half full stadium.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where it is next year, because of course it is going to be staged.
I believe that the prices were set by the FIM.
Yeah, so yeah.
This not by Bellevue as such. Craig Smith, we're talking about the prices now. I want to talk about the fact that we won the damn thing. Yeah. Craig Smith, it was an expensive weekend for me. My ticket was £65 and my son, who's 7, was £45. So I can understand that families looking to take several children would be priced out of the Speedway of Nations. Having said that, it was worth every penny, and the fam zone was brilliant. And my son was happy with the free face painting, etc. I should think it was free with free with those prices. Can you give a shout out, this is Fred Graham again, can you give a shout out to Conor Bailey Racing, the Tornado? I think our sport needs to help our young riders with the psychological and physical side of doing this wonderful sport.
Yeah, I know you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about this before about riders perhaps not getting the support from a young age. We've had people like Zach Vitanek burn out in the similar sort of way, and of course Danny Ayres,
of course,
committed suicide.
4 years now since we lost Danny.
Has it really been 4 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So now Conor Bailey, I think if he's having problems, he's made the right choice and the right decision. He's stepped out for the rest of this season due to, what was the phrase that we used, mental.
Yeah,
something or
mental
other.
Fatigue.
Mental fatigue. We'll go with that. It was something like that.
I believe that there is a support line that's been set up now for younger speeder riders to contact you if they're having problems, isn't there? So
we should put that up.
I think there is. I'm sure there is. I think we talked about it on the Danny Ayres special that we did just after his passing. So.
Paul Jeffries, shame it wasn't on Eurosport, only Discovery Plus, which in some cases you have to pay extra for that channel. So a lot of us missed out. Not a good way to promote Speedway.
Yeah, I suppose the bottom line is it just isn't good for Speedway, is it?
Well, a major event, obviously a major international TV event, it's been staged in this country, but you can't see it on any British TV channels. Yeah. It's poor.
Jeff Daniel says the format needs looking at. I think the home nation should be involved in the semi-finals, then at least one decent crowd for one semi-final. What do we think of that, chaps?
Well, I think the big problem with the Speedway Nations is it's always going to be seen as the poor relation to the World Cup, isn't it? But it's it's still a competition that I think's reputation has grown. I think there was a bit of
I do like the fact that it is a pair. You've got proper team riding in, and it favours team riding with 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
So, and it's just different, isn't it? But do we need to have the home nation in the semi-finals? You say the danger is
the home nation doesn't
get to the final, which would then affect the numbers in the final, I guess.
No, I disagree. I think the home nation should have to go through into the
sort of their reward for holding the thing.
Yeah, I mean we've just had Euro 2024, haven't we? Germany won't see it with the host, but they won't see it straight to the final. So
that's right. It was about 18,000 of them in the crowd. Germans. So stay behind.
Good God. Okay.
Right. There we go.
Craig Smith. Oh, yeah, we've read that one. Craig Smith said, I did see someone make a valid point in the stands. Manchester at the moment is like a mini London. We have the biggest concert venue in Europe, 2 of the most successful clubs in football in the city. In Manchester, especially if you want a good night out at a large scale event, you would be expected to pay in excess of £50 at the moment. Okay. Brian Johnson, evening guys, always a cracking show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Rich Thomas says, just shows how low Speedway has sunk in the eyes of the press and media. I can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we're a quarter of an hour in and we haven't talked about the fact that we've won it either, have we?
Yes.
Which is, so.
What was it? Was it expected?
I think a lot of people. I think there
we
was
always knew it was in with a chance. I think.
The heart of hearts. Did you pick them to?
I picked the top 3.
You picked Australia. So.
Yeah, Australia, GB, and Sweden. I think I was the only one that went with Sweden, wasn't I?
I think you were actually. Yeah.
So, I think. Yeah, I mean. You take your luck in the Speedway Nations.
No, we haven't had too much success over the last 30, 40 years, have we?
No.
So I think obviously now back-to-back wins on home soil. Next target I think has got to be to try and win a major tournament overseas. I think the last time was for Britain was 1984. I think with Chris Morton and Peter Collins won the pairs in. I think it was Lonigo. And then obviously the big one, of course, has got to be to try and win the World Cup, which hasn't happened since '89. So
no, It's sounding a little bit like another team that we could talk about from last weekend.
That's right.
Right. Discovery is only $6.99 for 1 month. Lots of Speedway on for that month, and then cancel it. It's still a lot of people. Still quite a lot of money for some.
It is, yeah.
It is. It is if you paying to go to Speedway as well. You know, with your local club.
Trouble with Mankland is it's too wet all the time.
Yeah, I think he said fricking before.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
I think we're allowed to say fricking.
We are allowed to say fricking.
Yeah.
I would.
I just read it differently to the way it's spelled.
It's an American comment, I think, isn't it? So I think.
Fricking.
Craig Smith says, when we won it in 2021, it was all over the media, probably because we were riding on the back of the success of the England women's team as well. This time, not a mention. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that in some sort of defence, all the back pages of all the papers were like 6 pages of the fact that are England going to do it? Mm-hmm. No, they're not. Next question. So, yeah, there we go.
I think it says a lot, you know, and I think a lot of praise has got to go to the likes of Rob Painter, haven't they, for the work that's been done with the national team since they took the rights over it, because you think 10 years ago, I mean, we were...
This is what Ty Woffington was calling out for, wasn't it?
10 years ago, we were going to World Cups and getting beaten by, you know, no disrespect to them, but the likes of Latvia in World Cup events, which obviously that a lot of work's gone done. And of course, as I say, 2 Speedway Nations titles since 2021. You know, I'm sure there's more, hopefully there's more to come. You know, we got very, very close last year in the World Cup. We gave Poland an almighty scare in their own backyard.
We were so close.
So close to winning that.
So close. Pete Clark says, Lawrence Rogers applied for the England job?
Is he talking about football?
I'm guessing.
I'm guessing,
yeah. Jeff Daniels, Ty Woffington has a big announcement tomorrow from himself on social media.
It'll be interesting to see what that one is. I know, I've read somewhere that he's targeting being back for Cardiff, isn't he?
Really?
And whether that's...
I'd heard he was out for the season, so...
I'm sure I've read somewhere that he's... whether that's, you know, how much scope is in that, I don't know, but...
he's never won...
would be... That's the one thing that's missing, isn't it, from his list? He's a home GP win. He's been second a couple of times. I thought actually last year he might have had he not come off.
He seemed to be on good form at Cardiff, didn't he?
He was really. I think he really enjoyed the track at Cardiff last year, and I think he would have had a great chance of winning it. But just obviously that nasty crash, that I think he broke his collarbone. Was it?
Okay, well he's talking about it here. If you can just go down a little bit for me. Hello.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I thought you'd fallen asleep then, Chris. So Craig Smith says it's to do with a release of a new track and collaboration with the top star, apparently. Is that, we're talking music there, are we? He's also looking at trying to get back racing for the week. No, he's disappeared.
You've gone back.
There you go.
Come on.
Okay.
For the week before Cardiff GP by riding for Roclaw, then Sheffield, and seeing how he gets on. So that sort of...
I think that's going to be a big ask, to be fair, but... a new track. Interesting to see where that one is.
Was nice that Granada Reports, the local news programme here in Mank, did a mention of the blue plaque reveal at Ivan Major's former home in Cheshire.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah. I read something about it as well. So his name's still got some pull.
That's right. You think it's over nearly 50 years, I think, since he rode for Bellevue, isn't it? So it's got to be a long that time. But one of the truly great names of the sport, really. 6 times. Yep.
A world champion, when it was, I think, possibly a bit more difficult to get that many championships, with it being the one-off final.
Yeah, I think him and Rickardsson stand out. I mean, I think most of us expect Bartosz Smolny to, if not break it, then certainly equal it or get very, very close to it. But has he had the level of competition that both Rickardsson or Major had? I'm not totally convinced, to be fair. I think Rickardsson obviously rode in an era when you had the likes of Pedersen and Crump and Golub and Lee Adams, so he had a lot of different challenges. Whereas many people would argue Smolnik's biggest challenge is the 2 Russians, and of course they can't ride in it. So,
which that's needs to be looked at, I think, as well now. We've got Fred Graham was at Workington on Sunday for the Ben Fund meeting. What a great cause. Think Team GB missed a trick. I know Robert Lambert and Tom Brannett were racing in Poland. It would have been good for Porstead and Ollie Allen to have brought the trophy and allow people to see it and maybe get a photo.
I think that, yeah. I know when we won it in 2021, I think the following day, Dan Bewley was at Monmouth for the Olympic, and he brought the trophy round. So,
and Fred Graham's having a go at you. Who's Porstead? Simon, you mean?
Did I say Porstead?
Apparently, I didn't.
Was it me who said it, or was it you?
Oh, it's probably him.
No, I think it's Fred that he's. Craig's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So
there
we've
you
got
go.
private chat on this. Nothing to do with me.
Okay, nothing to do with you at all. Nothing to do with this programme. Okay, so let's go back to the Speedway of Nations. Going into the semi-finals, you possibly would not have picked GB to be the ones to get through to the final. And you probably would have picked Australia at that point.
I would have. I think Australia at the time looked like they were in the box seat to get it.
But there were two good races, really. I thought the semi-final was a decent. And Freddie Lindgren was on fire, by the way.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Jakob Torsell rode well as well. I think
He
obviously,
did,
obviously there's obviously a relationship between the two of them from Morning for Wolves. But and the crazy thing is, as poor as Poland were going into their last qualifying heat against Australia, they could still have forced their way into the contention for getting into the final. But obviously they got a 7-2 against Australia in the 7-2 by Australia in the last qualifying race. But I think obviously that qualified with Sweden, and to say Jakob Torsell always rode Bellevue well when he was riding for Wolves anyway, so that probably didn't come as a massive surprise to me. But that was always going to be a tricky qualifying mission there, because Sweden, but a lot of people talked about Sweden's not being quite the force that they have been in the past, but obviously some of their riders now, as I say, these two riders.
I think if it come to a World Cup, they'd probably be found out a little bit.
Yeah, there would be. I think this competition, I think, sort of lends itself a little bit to sides that have got good examples. The Germans. I don't think the Germans would have been finished fourth in the World Cup final, would they?
But they are, as you've pointed out, they are on the up.
Yeah,
as a nation. Then we got look at the final. GB against Australia, and you could see what the Australians were trying to do. Looking for each other, trying to force themselves into second and third, because that obviously would have won them the match. But he was having nothing of it, was he? That was that.
It was a great way to win it, wasn't it? As well, great way to win the competition.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay, we'll have to read this out. Duncan Pemberton, can Birmingham get a break and have a bit of luck for the rest of the season? And can Kings Lynn run 2 home meetings concurrently? Answers on a postcard.
Well, we did have a lot of rain in the country yesterday, didn't we? So, I think you obviously got to look the other way for that one. But
Birmingham do need a lot, but mostly we need to stop moaning about the track.
Yeah, I think we did this one to death last week, didn't we? Really, so.
But it's sort of fresh on my mind, because I noticed on the Birmingham website earlier today that people are again using the track, saying, why can't we get the track right, and blah, 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 blah. I don't think there was much wrong with the track. There was an outside line. People were going around the outside. Unfortunately, they weren't Birmingham riders. Fast times as well.
Is it that the track's different every week? I don't think it's.
I don't think it was particularly different between the last 2 weeks, if I'm honest. There has been times when they have, partly due to weather, partly due to trying to put more material on the track, but sometimes, none of that happened last time.
I mean, sometimes you'll have tracks that are different every week, and that's one thing that home riders. I think when Matthew Zargo was riding for Bellevue while they were still at the Greyhound Stadium, I think he said, I don't mind it being rough as long as it's rough every week, not rough one week and smooth the next, because you just don't know how to prepare the bike.
But anyway, as I say, we've done that one to death. Why no Leon Madsen? This is just a little conversation that's just come out, and the answer was that he didn't join him for personal reasons. There was something going on. So that's that one. Bladern as a 28-day replacement at Glasgow for Steve Worrell. Craig Smee would like Bladern as a 28-day replacement at Glasgow for Steve Worrell. That wouldn't be a bad shout.
Wouldn't be, no. Whether it would happen, I don't know. So.
Rumoured Hallstrom, Bangs or Baljager could be Ace's reserve replacement for, you can say that name. Thank you. But now replacement needed for Conor Bailey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, David Baljager's has obviously ridden in the country before, hasn't he? So I mean,
he's a tidy little rider.
Yeah, I'd like David Baljager. He's a good little rider.
Be good at reserve, I would have thought as well. So, okay.
I think if Bellevue got him, that would certainly strengthen their push for the. I think they'll get in the playoffs anyway, but that would sort of maybe transform them into contenders. I think so.
We've got 2 races going on in the top league, really, haven't we?
Yep.
Which is who's going to avoid the wooden spoon.
Yep.
Looks like Kings Lynn are in the box seat for that, riding really well at the moment. And the top 4 and what order those are going to be in, and can Ipswich possibly continue in the form, because they've looked a little bit ropey.
Yeah, I think obviously the injury issues they've had with Jason Doyle has probably caught up with them a little bit. So
Pete Clark says, "Who are Birmingham going to sign?" We don't even know if they are going to sign anybody. I don't know, Pete. You got any ideas? I'm sure Lawrence is listening. He'd like to know. Phil Taylor says, personally, I think GB would have won the Son 2, which we should mention as well, if Dan Thompson hadn't got injured in the final. What do you guys think? Possibly.
Yeah,
I think so. With a shout.
That one was a lot more tighter than anything, wasn't it? I mean, Poland got it on 41, Sweden 38 with Australia, and GB 35.
Most of those points coming from a certain Brummie rider. So
he rode very well. Didn't he? So,
I think he got 19 points, was it?
Something like that. Like and Denmark 31. So it was only 10 points between the top 5. And when you think with Denmark, at one point they looked like they were going to have some a really, really good dominant team a few years ago, didn't they? It's not really sort of. They've not really capitalised on that. I think it's obviously been the problem's always going to be the fact that they've had Poland there as well. But it was a decent effort there, and just unfortunate to not only not to win it but to miss out on a medal as well was disappointing for the under-21s in the Speedway Nation too.
But hoping Liam Flint. That will do his confidence the world of good when he comes back.
Yes, hope so. Yeah, I think there's been encouraging signs from him in the last couple of matches, haven't they? But I think there were big expectations of him.
Well, everybody was saying that Birmingham got a poor team, but they got the best reserves.
Yeah,
that was almost always 90% of the comments were of that sort of. It didn't turn out that we had the best reserves. You would think if we'd started the season and said we're going to have Litchgate at reserve, people would have gone, well, you can't do that.
Yeah, can't lose a match.
It hasn't worked out, has it? Barry Young says, isn't Conor Bailey a rising star? I believe
yes, that's
so.
True, yeah. So, you would need another rising star to replace him, so that makes things a bit more difficult for them, I guess.
Well, there's a certain 15-year-old that's just come on the scene which might fit the bill.
It's a big ask, isn't it? I mean, Ashton Boven's done well, to be fair, given his lack of experience. He's obviously come into the Oxford team this season with no
much better than I was expecting.
Yeah. Well, I think, as I say, we both saw him, didn't we, in the
very impressive,
the champion. He looked very, very impressive against a lot of riders, obviously of the same age gap. So it was interesting to see how he was going to go on against some of the top names who are a bit more forceful and sort of push him out of the way a little bit. But he's certainly made a big impression at Oxford this season.
Absolutely. Okay, so looking at the time, I'm wondering whether we want to go early for the.
There was a couple of things I wanted to look at as well, which I'll get up in a bit. I think it's not on this page. It's on.
Well, let's get the page where it's on then. That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Hang on, so, where was it, Matt? Come on.
No, that's me.
Oh, yeah, there was
This
a
is
couple
great
of
radio, this is, isn't it?
yeah, there was a couple of announcements you wanted to make, wasn't there?
Okay, so one was
Yeah, this was the page.
This
Yeah,
is the
blast
one,
from the
okay.
past.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
blast from the past. Proper bikes.
It was a little bit higher than
No, I
that.
think yeah.
Okay,
Just
so
go-
let's go. All comments.
So there's a cricket match, as I understand it, run by. There we go.
Okay.
From Mark Anderson. Hi, Chris. Would it be possible to mention Blast from the Past are doing a test match at Glasgow on the 26th of the 7th and Berwick at the 27th of the 7th and last leg on the 21st of the 8th?
At Oxford.
Yeah, one at Glasgow, Berwick and Oxford.
Yep.
As normal, we have a one-off race jacket to be raffled off for each track and all money raised goes to the Ben Fund.
Yep.
So,
Well, that's good.
yeah, absolutely. Get yourselves over to that. And you had one more little announcement as well, but you don't know where that is.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to read this one out?
Yeah, it's from Hackney Speedway, a great name from the past. I think it's about time you got Steve Ribbins on your show because he's promoting the London tournament to be held at Kent's King's Highway Circuit on August the 4th. Closed tracks, White City, Hackney and Wimbledon are competing for the Vic Harding Memorial Trophy. Lots going on behind the scenes to make this day to remember, both on and off the track, including a bus coming down from Wimbledon.
I think that's a great shout. We should get him on the show.
Yeah.
If anybody's got any contact details for him, please send them to us.
Yeah, it is about time we got a track back in London, isn't it? It's, you know,
Is it not a single track in London?
No.
No, not a single track.
I'll try what the closest one would be.
Might
now.
make the press a bit more interested
I'm trying to
otherwise.
think what the closest would be to London now that Rye House has gone.
Rye House used to be the closest, didn't it?
Perry Bar.
Yeah,
Oxford's probably
Oxford's
the closest now,
Oxford, yeah.
and Oxford's about 50, 60 miles away, isn't it?
Yeah.
So from London, so well, Kent of course as well. That's obviously probably slightly closer, but
Jeff Daniels says Ace's best choices for the Rising Star will be Mulford, Ablett, Joe Thompson or Luke Killeen. Carnes can't ride in the Premiership or the Championship until he's 16.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he was 16 before. Okay. Right, shall we get the league up then?
yep.
I mean, I'm anxious to get the league up.
I don't know why.
Right.
That was a fake table I posted earlier, by the way.
Was it? Yeah. I wouldn't put it past you.
Okay. I've only
So,
done
Okay.
so
didn't have
far,
too
yeah.
many matches last week, to be fair, because with all the rain. So
There's lots of red there.
Yeah, you're up to.
And I got a blue one in there.
yep.
Where everybody else.
You were the only one to get the top three for the Speedway Nations. Just you didn't get them in the right order. That was the problem. So
Yeah, I should have committed to Team GB, shouldn't I?
yeah. Well, you should have committed. Yeah.
There aren't many
I'm sorry,
predictions there, are there? That did pick GB.
Not many.
No.
No, not many. Elliot did, and yeah, not many. Philip
So anyway, we have Simon Corbett leading the way again.
Fourth title, possibly in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we
it's
need
a
to.
handicap, isn't it? Next season, gotta be.
We need to. He can start halfway through the season. I think that's what we'll.
It's a shame because he's already started building his shelf for his new mugs. So.
You got Matt's in at 2. He's not that far behind there.
No.
Getting nosebleed.
Mm.
Yeah. Then Rich Thomas in 3rd, Brian Buck in 4th, along with Kevin Lilly, I believe that is.
Yeah.
And there's a few other names, and then the most important one, you get down to 10, and there's John Blood, and there's Michael Harris.
Yeah. 98.
A couple down
And-
there. There's Chris Brown.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, you had a good start, but
Plenty of time.
yeah, well,
Plenty of time.
we shall see. We shall see. Shall we start making our predictions then?
Why not?
Go
And
for
we'll
it.
start off with tomorrow night, South Coast Derby in the Championship, Poole against Plymouth.
Okay. I believe this is up to you, Chris.
I'll go Paul by 8.
Pool by 10.
Haven't been convincing of those this season so far, Pool. But I'll go for Pool by 16.
Okay.
Okay, next up.
And Plymouth have been doing better than people expect.
Yeah, they have, to be fair. So, next up on Thursday in the Premiership is Sheffield against Kings Lynn.
Okay. You've got to hope Sheffield wins this, haven't you? From a Birmingham perspective.
They will be favourites, though, I think. That one,
I'm going to say Sheffield by 12.
I'm going to say Sheffield by 16.
And Chris has gone to sleep.
I'll go Sheffield by 10.
Okay.
I'm trying to work it out.
Work what out?
This crossword.
Okay.
Oxford against Bellevue is the next one, also on Thursday.
That's up to you, Matt.
Oxford by 6.
I'll go Oxford by 12. I'll try and pull it back.
Oxford by 8.
Okay. Then we've got Leicester against Ipswich, also on Thursday.
Chris? That's going to be a match, isn't it?
Yep.
Ipswich by 4.
Really?
Mm.
I mean, a lot depends on who they've got as guest, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Leicester by 10.
Leicester by 4, I'll go for on that one. Okay, then we move on to Friday night. That's in the back in the Championship we go. It's Glasgow against Scunthorpe.
Kidoki, that's me, isn't it?
Yeah,
Glasgow versus Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
Glasgow by 8.
Glasgow by 10.
Glasgow by 6.
Okay, meanwhile, also on Friday we've got Edinburgh against Workington in the Championship.
That's up to you, Matt.
Workington by 2.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Workington by 6.
I'm going to go for a draw.
Yeah, you've had a few of them recently.
Yeah, I have, haven't I,
so,
sir?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up in the Championship on Friday as well, it's Redcar against Poole.
Chris?
Pool by 4.
Redcar by 4.
Poole by 8.
Okay, that's where I can pull back up on you guys.
Okay.
Or let's go the other way.
Plymouth against Oxford on Saturday night is the next one.
Okay. Ooh. That's a hard one.
Mm.
Plymouth by 4.
Plymouth by 8.
I'll go Oxford by 2.
Okay.
Okay. Then on Monday night in the Premiership, it's Bellevue against Oxford.
Matt?
Bellevue by 10.
Bellevue by 8.
They've looked pretty unstoppable at home recently, haven't they, Bellevue, to be fair?
Bit, yeah.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Well done. New word.
They're going to Bellevue are going to win by 12able points.
Yeah.
You stole. I was going to do that.
And then last but by no means least on Monday as well, it's Birmingham against Sheffield.
Okay, Chris.
That's amazing, isn't it? Okay. Shall I ruin it?
I don't want to do this.
Sheffield by 12.
You see, I can't disagree with that.
Really?
I'd like to. This is so hard. I'll say Sheffield by 6. When have I ever predicted a Birmingham loss at home?
I'll go Sheffield by 14.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I mean, obviously, the last time the two sides met at Perry Bowl was a cracker, wasn't it? But
Was, yeah.
I think a lot of that was possibly Sheffield being caught cold a little bit. And,
Don't you think it's a recurring theme where you're saying the same thing every week about Birmingham? Wouldn't you like a week where you go, oh, we'll win this one?
I would love one.
yeah.
But I mean, I've started off the season like that, to be fair.
But he hasn't said that for about 5 years now. That's been the problem.
Yeah. I was feeling so good at the beginning.
Yeah, of course, as Pete's pointed out, it is live as well on Eurosport
Yes.
on Monday. So
We hope. Says Pete Clark.
So they'll stick it on the app again. So.
No, I just hope it's a good meeting. That's all. I hope the guys show some fight.
Yep.
And don't blame the track. I'm probably going to get told off for all this when I get down the track on Monday. Oh well.
So if I see Lawrence Frog marching you out the stadium, I'll know why.
Yeah.
But Ipswich have got a tidy little lead at the top of the league, though, haven't they? They're on 29 points, with Bellevue second on 21. So Sheffield on 20, Oxford 18. So realistically, Leicester look like the only ones that could probably muscle in the way now. You can't see Kingsley or certainly Birmingham doing it. Thing is, as well,
bless you.
Kingsley, they've had 2 points deducted as well. That's
I know it's not good reading. Craig Graham says it will be interesting to watch Slovenian Matic Ivicic. I might be pronouncing that right. You never know. In his debut for Glasgow on Friday, see how he looks at championship level. Even more interesting will be when he has to race at the unwashed Edinburgh and Plymouth the next night in early August.
It's not very neighbourly about Edinburgh, is it?
It's not, is it?
Might say I've said worse things about Cradley, so...
Yeah, but usually people agree with you. Yeah, it will be interesting, because do you think there'll be a Premiership managers looking at that with interest? Do you wonder?
Maybe.
So Elliot wants to know what we think the Ty Woffenden announcement's going to be about.
Let's speculate.
We don't think it's retirement, do we?
No, I don't think so. I'd be shocked if it was that.
How old is he?
34, I think he is now.
So he's not old.
Craig Speed reckons it's a new DJ mix. He's collaborating with a big star.
I did wonder whether that was a possibility. It could be a possibility.
Really?
Because he is into that.
Oh, right, okay.
But he was at the MotoGP on Saturday as well, wasn't he? I noticed. So,
was he?
Yeah, he was there because he was interviewed on Eurosport. Eurosport actually went to that. So
yeah. Well, he's not going to try GP. He spoke about trying MotoGPs before, hasn't he?
Yep. Now that he's not winning in Speedway, then.
Dunkerton. I need some new teeth. Duncan Pemberton says Cradley was great. We are talking about the pork sarnie bar, aren't we?
Ooh, I never had a pork sarnie at Cradley.
No, I never did.
That involved walking past the home fans. That was the problem for me. Yeah.
Oh, we should look at this rider of the week. Actually, we haven't spoke about that. There's few for Robert Lambert now. I actually can't see past Robert Lambert.
No, neither can I, to be honest.
None of waves it, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
I think we'll declare him.
And the surprise of the week is Scott Nichols is guesting for Ipswich.
Again. Yeah.
And Drew Camp guesting for Plymouth at Paul tomorrow night in place of Dan Thompson. Simon Corbett wants to say Lebedevs as the rider of the week for Latvia.
Right, okay.
Craig Smee, why didn't Woffenden go to the Speedway of Nations? He was named as captain before his injury in the 5-man team. It's a strange one, as he wasn't in the pits as captain.
I don't think he was in the pits when we won it in 2021.
I
think he got injured in the first meeting. And
I think he was in hospital. Yeah, to be fair.
But it is a little bit strange that he wasn't there to be part of it. Unless he's just one of these riders who isn't a very good watcher. So.
I mean, we don't know whether there was you'd only allowed a certain amount of people in the pits because it would have been tight with all those riders in there. So that might have played a part.
We've got some messages on YouTube, I think, haven't we? So.
Okay, YouTube.
Yep.
Do you think that Wolves will get a truck at all?
A truck? Oh, you presumably mean a tractor?
That's what it says there. Yeah.
I sincerely hope so. I've got major misgivings as to whether it's going to be.
I don't think they're going to get a truck.
Settle for a truck, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think it's I think it's pretty clear now. Unless something happens very, very quickly, and I mean, like we walk out of here and it's announced, so it's not going to be next year. I know that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but unfortunately, as has been said by the club on many times, bureaucracy isn't known for moving at haste. So we've just got to be patient. Hopefully it's not too long, because I think the longer it goes, then the harder you'll find it is to get back.
There is absolutely no rumours whatsoever.
No, they'll keep it very quiet until there's something. I'm pretty certain of that, the way that they operate. So it's just got to be patient, and hopefully something will happen. So, I mean, there's no. I mean, I know there's been one or two suggestions recently, but there's no prospect of going back to Monmouth Green. That one's gone now. So
yeah,
it's not there anymore, is it? The track, everything's.
The only thing that's there now is the pits. Yeah, I saw the photographs the other day, which I didn't really want to see when you consider it's 33 years of my life that's been spent there. So,
Craig Smith says the new track was supposed to be Weston-super-Mare. That's the first I've heard of that. But it's gone a bit quiet on that front. Also, not much news on Coventry situation either.
I think the Coventry situation is now in the balls are sort of in Brandon Estates Court, isn't it, as to what they're going to do? Whether they're, I don't think they'll go away. I think they'll come back with another application, and I think they'll just
try and wear.
I think the problem, of course, that the bees are going to have is that the longer the land's derelict, the value of the land's going to go up, and of course, it's going to fall into an even bigger state of decay than it is now.
And it looks awful, doesn't it?
Yeah, but. I still say that if anybody can get that place back from Speedway, then it'll be them, and I wish them well.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll be joining them back on track as well somewhere. So
yeah, and hopefully with Birmingham still going, that would be... Nichols has had more Premiership meetings without having a club than he would have if he had signed for one.
That's a fair point, actually. So,
but still not as many meetings as Bomber, probably.
Yeah.
Who just... astounds me how he keeps going. Right, well,
yeah. We didn't think we'd have much to talk about.
Well, it's been a quiet week for Speedway, apart from the Speedway of Nations, of course. I
think the biggest news is that there was no news really about the Speedway of Nations. Struggled everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing in the papers or that, nothing.
Apparently, Debbie Hancock, the ex. This is now we have to sort of say this is what's coming up. I'm reading out what's coming up here. Apparently, Debbie Hancock, ex Somerset promoter, blocked Western track somehow, only in Speedway. Again, this is just what Rich Thomas has put up there. We don't.
Okay, so who is Debbie Hancock?
She used to be the promoter at Somerset, didn't she?
Yes, that's right.
Is that unusual, a woman being in...
well, it'd be unusual for her to be blocking something when she's not even a promoter anymore, so I don't see how that works, but...
Okay.
Mascot of the week, Tom Brennan. Yes, I mean, he didn't get it right, did he? But, yeah, he was there.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's a good word, Rich Thomas.
Yeah, allegedly you don't want to sort of drop anybody in it, mate.
Yeah. No. So Speedway Nations 2, explain to me what happened in that.
Speedway Nations 2. Well, it's basically on the Speedway of the Nations for under 21s, isn't it?
Okay. So who won that?
Poland.
Okay.
So they can win Speedway Nations. It's not the senior one.
Yeah.
So.
Bless them.
Yep. So Poland won that one. I think Sweden second, Australia third, and obviously we missed out on a medal by 3 points.
Were there many supporters from other countries, nations there?
Well, there's always the Poles.
I did notice somebody there waving a Union Jack flag that also had a German flag painted on the face, which I thought was
really?
A bit,
that was a weird one.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, people do tend to travel. Polish fans. Always travel.
Sometimes with Speedo fans, you'll tend to find that they won't support the riders from their own country. They'll support the riders from their own team.
Yeah,
you tend to find that a lot.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I know when some of the Test matches were held at Monmouth Green between England and America, there was a lot of Wolves fans that tended to cheer for the Americans because obviously half of our team was the American team. So
Cradley was the same.
It always seemed to be a Wolves Cradley select. With Ronnie, with Corio and Malenko. Hamal Hancock in the team as well when I was going to watch.
And Craig Smith said he saw some Latvia fans on Saturday. I mean, they do.
Obviously, there would have been a lot of polls there.
Yeah,
although
always.
they went a bit quiet, I think, during the meeting. So it's a bit random, isn't it,
Yeah.
Pete?
Saw a Polish flag with the word Grimsby on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Something fishy about that.
Sure,
Yeah,
it wasn't Grimsky.
I said something fishy. I forget it.
Yes, we heard it.
Yeah, just don't. Don't.
Build
So
me up,
bad you had to
build me
say
up,
it
knock me
twice.
down.
So bad you had to say it twice. So,
Something fishy.
Okay, well, I think we're going to have to call it a day then,
I think
folks.
so.
Day.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah. And the rider of the week was.
Robert
Robert
Lambert.
Lambert.
Yeah.
Most people have gone for. So have we kept record of all the riders of the week?
Absolutely.
Not.
Okay.
But it's easy to find out.
Fred Graham, shout out for Leon Flint Racing. His hard work is finally coming to fruition. Good meeting for Glasgow at Scunny. Great performance in Sun 2 and big score in Poland the other day. Keep it going, Leon.
Yeah, we've said before with Leon, he's a confidence rider, isn't
Yeah.
he? And he tends, if he's not performing, he tends to beat himself up a little bit.
I think he overrides the.
As you've heard, you
yeah.
can hear him through his helmet. You've said so.
Bring it back home, Leon. And that music signals the end of the programme. So everybody, enjoy your Speedway this week. I hope it doesn't rain on you too much. And see you all next week. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today?